regular meeting for Monday, July the 13th. Could I please have the roll call?
Councilmember Abdelgawad.
Here.
Councilmember Barber.
Present.
Councilmember Berenson.
Present.
Councilmember Burke.
Present.
Councilmember Circo.
Present.
Councilmember Holman.
Present.
Councilmember Jacobson.
Present.
Councilmember Townsend.
Present.
Mayor Turnbow.
We have a quorum. Would you all please rise and join me in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have no presentations tonight or personal appearances, so I'll move on to the staff reports. Mr. Fearborn.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would ask Mr. Cataret to make a staff report for Development Services.
Thank you, sir. A few things to go over tonight, looking at our submitted printed report. Looking at new home construction, we're a couple of homes less than what we were at this point back in 2019, but we are showing a strong July, and so we'll be ahead of where we were last year, and we've also exceeded the 85 permits that were budgeted for the fiscal year, so that was good news there. I do want to point out, if you look at the miscellaneous residential permits, we've had about a 70% increase in those permits. So this year we've had a lot of home improvement projects, decks and the like, and then a lot of people had some storm damage to the roofs. When we had a hailstorm earlier this year, you see a lot of new roofs go on. Really has increased that overall number. The other thing I want to point out, a little bit unusual, is the code enforcement activity. Again, I think we have a lot of people working out at home, going on walks, et cetera. Our code enforcement cases are up 30% this year. And we're seeing a lot of calls that we typically don't see, honestly, this time of year. Then if you look at the number of properties being mowed by the city has increased, unfortunately, so we're having to do more abatement ourselves. And then you'll see the code officer himself has actually doubled up the number of abatements that he's done this year compared to last year. Which, what he does, he doesn't do abatements on private property, but if he sees something discarded on the side of the road or trash bags at the end of a dead-end street, that's the abatements that he's done, but those have definitely increased this year. Then if we look at, I've been talking about the number of lots available, you'll see that we're down to 284, which is really, that number just keeps on dropping. Good news though is Prairie View will be adding about 29 lots here within this month. So Prairie View down at the Good Ranch off of Hubach Hill Road. So excited to see those on the south side of our community. And then Eastbrook at Creekmore, you'll note they're under construction. They're off of Madison Street. And that'll add about 34 lots to our inventory. So we're excited. And that'll be, those are different lots, sizes, different home values for Creekmore. So we're excited to see that, that new option up in Creekmore. And then finally, if we look at our calendar of upcoming meetings, this Wednesday here at the council chambers at 6:30, we'll have the Good Neighbor meeting for Oak Ridge Farms. That's the expansion of that subdivision that Sean Siebert's doing there at the eastern end of Pine Street. Then on July 21st, our Board of Adjustment going to be doing a training session that evening at 6 o'clock. That's going to be, we have 4 new board members, and we felt it's important to go through a kind of a mock hearing. Our city attorney is actually going to lead that. Staff will be going through basically a made-up case to be able to go through training on what questions to ask and just overall protocol. So with the 4 new members, we felt that the timing was good for that activity. The Planning Commission is canceled on the 21st that evening. And then other meetings coming up, August 4th, our Planning Commission will have the public hearing for Oak Ridge Farms. And then on August 18th, they'll have the public hearing for the Parkside subdivision, which is proposed off of 163rd Street, just south of Creekmore. So a lot of activity going on in the department, and prepared to answer any questions you may have.
Anyone have any questions? Mr. Holman.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have a question, Mr. Catter. It's probably more appropriate for Mr. Fearborn, but it's related to what you said. You spoke about how our code enforcement officer sometimes picks up trash. You talked about all the home remodeling projects that people are doing. We know that since the virus has come out and people have been stuck at home, probably the number one activity is to clean out the garage and the attic and the rooms and things like that. I would assume that Constable Sanitation has seen a huge increase in the volume of trash in the city. Have we had any commentary from them or pushback? Obviously, that's put quite a burden on their services, and I've heard nothing. So I haven't seen any dip in service either, so that's a good thing.
Interestingly enough, sir, we are going to have Constable at next week's work session to give you an update.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Not Mr. Fearborn.
Thank you, Mr. Carteret. I would ask Ms. Harmer to make a report from Communications on our upcoming no tax increase bond issue.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. As we continue to share information on the no tax increase GO bond issues that will be on the August 4th ballot for Raymore voters, I wanted to give a brief review of the details of questions 1 and 2 and I really wanted to show you an interactive map that our GIS coordinator, Heather Eisenbarth, created. It is not showing up because of the resolution issues with that thing. The word escapes me. Anyway, so it is, but you can find a map at raymore.com/bond projects, and I will come to a quick screenshot of the interactive map, and I know we shared it in the weekly report on Friday, so I don't know if any of you had the chance to take a look at it yet, but I think it's really nice, and it really allows a viewer to see the location of each proposed project and gives a short overview of the project, and you can move around the map to all the different locations of the projects. And again, it's right here toward the top of our raymore.com/bond projects webpage. And there's a screenshot of the second item on our street issues on question 1. I chose that screenshot because it does you can kind of see, I'm sure it's hard to see, but you can kind of see the little numbers in the orange circles, and those are the locations all over town of where these proposed projects are. And if either or both of these measures are approved by voters, the story map would be updated with visuals like sketches and renderings and timelines of estimated groundbreakings and other project updates that would be added as they become available. Now I will review the items included in question 1, which is the proposal of $17.5 million in street improvements in and around Raymore. This is an illustration of one of the 4-by-8 foot signs that Public Works crews should be installing in and around Raymore in specific or corresponding areas of the proposed projects for several of the projects coming up. So Ward Road would, of course, completely reconstruct Ward Road, adding turn lanes at major intersections and also including a trail on one side and a sidewalk on the other side of the street. That is what Ward Road currently looks like, and I am sure we have a lot of residents that really enjoy driving over those patches, but of course that would be completely reconstructed if question 1 passes. Kurzweil Road, the same thing, a complete reconstruction, addition of turn lanes, and the reconstruction would also raise the street out of the floodplain. The Johnston Drive extension would extend Johnston Drive to the outer road, which is Harmon Drive. It would be really great if I could show you this on the interactive map, so just know that that's really what I wanted to show you. And then, of course, the I-40, we don't have a sign for I-49 widening, but it is kind of at the top of our list of everything that we're sharing. So this would widen to I-49 to 3 lanes from 155th Street to North Cass Parkway. This would ease the current bottleneck where I-49 narrows from 3 to 2 lanes at 155th that many Raymore residents experience during rush hour, allowing an easier ride both to the 58 Highway interchange and to the North Cass Parkway exit. This project would be in partnership with MoDOT, City of Belton, and Cass County. and would authorize a portion of the matching funds for a $25 million U.S. Department of Transportation build grant. We also have, which I don't know if I'm out of order, but we'll have a sign at Sunset Lane and 58 Highway. And the Sunset Lane extension would extend that north to 163rd Street, which would also be extended to meet the newly constructed Sunset Lane. Streetlights are also on question 1, and this would add missing streetlights in the Silver Lake and Heritage Hills neighborhoods. Now on to question 2. The RAC expansion would double the size of the Raymore Activity Center, adding additional basketball court, a classroom, and a yoga workout studio onto the existing building. And there's a current photo of the RAC, and I believe the extension would go out toward the west, so the back wall that you're seeing in there. The Centerview Phase 2 would add trail connections, lighting, and an outdoor event space to complement the indoor space at Centerview. The Centerview lawn is a great setting outside, and I do recall placing many LED candles and paper bags to light up the lawn area during a few different summer concerts on the back lawn at Centerview. So that would just enhance that gathering or that event space back there. And City Hall Trails and Plaza would also create a patio and gathering space behind City Hall. Hawkridge Park, we'll have this 4x8 foot sign at the south parking lot of Hawkridge Park. But there are 2 components to the Hawkridge Park improvements. One is West Hawkridge Park, which would add a parking lot at the soccer fields that you see at Loris Drive. That's just a field that you park in right now. And that would we'd have a connection from there to the north parking lot on Johnston Parkway. This project would also add a loop trail around the soccer fields, a small restroom, and irrigation quick couplers. And the other part of the Hawkridge Park improvement would be improvements to the amphitheater side, to the east side, which would add a parking lot on the east side to coincide with the Sunset Lane extension from question 1, and provide drinking water and irrigation for the lawn near the amphitheater. Residents and businesses, hopefully you received yours in the mail today, should have gotten this mailer, and I believe the review might have been mailed to everybody over the weekend. So there is information about the upcoming August 4th GeoBond issues in both of those that should have gone to all of our addresses in Raymore. And that is all I have for my report, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Anyone have any questions for? Nope. I think we're pretty good on it, actually. And thank you for having those out in the lobby. I think we've actually had some distribution going on from that location as well.
Yes.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Fearborn, anything else?
Thank you, Ms. Harmer. Yes, just want to remind the council, we do have a work session next week, July 20th, 7 p.m. It will be here unless circumstances in the next 7 days change as quick as they have for every 7-day period since all of this began. Topics currently on for that particular work session, there are a number of them. Again, Constable Sanitation will be making a presentation. We will be going over the recommended fiscal year 2021 water and sewer rates with the council. Then that will have to go to a public hearing because of the sewer, but we take them both, you will remember, as a public hearing together. Park board appointments will be on that particular agenda. We will be updating the city council on prospective tenant for the Van Trust property that evening and some of the elements that are associated with that particular proposal. And last but not least, Section 3.3 of the city charter states that council compensation, on at least an annual basis, the compensation of the council members shall be placed upon an agenda and discussed by the council at a work session to determine the need for any alterations. It has now been 1 year since your last discussion, so city staff will be putting that on for the mayor to introduce to the council. That concludes staff reports this evening, sir.
Thank you, sir. Any questions, Mr. Fearborn? Yes, Ms. Abdelgawad.
Just a quick question. I'm wondering, Maybe I missed the conversation. I'm wondering why we moved to meeting over here instead of meeting at Centerview. Was there a problem with meeting at Centerview? Everything I've read says social distancing is best. Masks are okay. So if we have the opportunity to be in a place where we can be spread out, I'm wondering why we made the change, or why we'll keep with the change. Thank you.
In the last week, first of all, eventually we're going to have to be back in here strictly from the standpoint of a public hearing standpoint. Because a public hearing has to be broadcast in a certain way, Centerview doesn't lend itself to that. Last week at this time, things were really opening up, and in the week before that, they were really opening up even more. So I made the determination to make the recommendation to the mayor that as things gradually started opening up, that we take this step but be en masse. Actually, I am hearing different about the social distancing because now they're actually extending to up to 30 feet relative to social distancing as far as aerosol is concerned. Eventually, my feeling was we have to get back to some sense of being able to have the public in attendance at a council meeting, even on a limited basis, and be able to hold a public hearing in the manner that they're supposed to be being held. And a lot of those have been on hold, so our commissions had to come back together to do those. It seemed a likely time to bring the council back in.
Anything else?
The recommendation that I heard last week was 3 to 6 feet. Actually, it's funny that none of the information matches, and I know everyone is so confused. But the social distancing is the one thing that seems to be consistent throughout and not questioned as much as the masks. And I just know I would feel more comfortable if we were able to sit more spread out, and it seemed like that was accommodated at Centerview. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else have any comments or questions? Okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda. We have 3 items on the consent agenda tonight. I'd entertain a motion to accept all or separate that out.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I motion that we approve the consent agenda item A, City Council minutes from June 22nd, 2020. Item B, appointment of City Council member to the License Tax Review Committee. And item C, 2019 Force Main Replacement, Acceptance and Final Plat Payment.
I'll second the motion, sir.
Thank you. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 8-0. Thank you. We'll now move on to unfinished business. Could I please have the second reading of Bill 3532 by title only?
The second reading of Bill 3532 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, amending the zoning map from A Agricultural District to PUD Planned Unit Development District, a 4-acre tract of land located north of the existing Foxwood Springs development in Raymore, Cass County, Missouri.
Thank you, Jeannie. I'd entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Townsend.
I motion that we approve Bill 3532, Foxwood Springs rezoning.
I'll second the motion, sir.
Thank you. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3532. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 8-0. Thank you. Could I please have the second reading of Bill 3554 by title only?
The second reading of Bill 3554 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, vacating the alley right-of-way located in Block 8 of the original plat of the City of Raymore, Cass County, Missouri.
Thank you. I'd entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Townsend.
I motion that we approve Bill 3554, Original Town Block 8 alley vacation.
I'll second the motion, sir.
Thank you. The motion has been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3554. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 8-0. Could I please have the second reading of Bill 3555 by title only?
The second reading of Bill 3555 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, approving the East Brook at Creekmore First Plat, located in Section 4, Township 46 North, Range 32 West, Raymore, Cass County, Missouri.
Thank you. I'd entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Townsend.
I motion that we approve Bill 3555, Eastbrook at Creekmore, first final plat.
Thank you.
I'll second the motion, sir.
Thank you, sir. A motion has been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3555. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 8-0. Can I please have the second reading of Bill 3556 by title only?
The second reading of Bill 3556 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri approving the Brookside 10th Final Plat, replat of Tract X and Tract Y located in the east half of Section 20, Township 46 North, Range 32 West, Raymore, Cass County, Missouri.
Thank you. I'd entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Townsend.
I move that we approve Bill 3556, Brookside 10th replat of tracks X and Y.
And I'll second the motion, sir.
Thank you, sirs. And motion's been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3556. Any further discussion?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Townsend.
I had a question, Mr. Fairborn, regarding the replat of this particular property and with the upgrades that's going to happen for the trailhead, I believe it is. Who would own this at the conclusion of this? Would it be the development and the homeowners association or the development? Could you explain that process a little bit?
And Mr. Cataract, if I miss anything, feel free to fill in. But basically what this is I'm going to flippantly call it a land swap. This dates back to the ages when the city would take bad parkland in exchange for the development. And since then, about a year ago, we had a long discussion with the park board about be very careful that you have the right to ask for either premium land or the full amount of a park fee in lieu. In this case, when we took the land, in the beginning, we had a very, very small pocket park, and the trailhead was going to actually be a residential lot on the back end of a cul-de-sac, as you can see from the diagram, that was a very small, tight area that would be very disruptive to the neighbors on either side of that particular parking lot that we could squeeze into there. Basically, the city and the developer had the exact same idea. Let's actually move the trailhead uniquely to where the trail actually is in the new piece that is in, and trade that for this small pocket park, which was admittedly not usable, and the little trailhead piece that was squeezed between the two homes. So it was favorable to both sides. When this is done, the developer will take over that lot and the small piece of property behind it, and we will receive ownership of the new trailhead, which, as you can see in the new business bill, will actually be fitted with amenities, including one of our park benches, a bicycle fueling station, which is a repair station for people who are bicycling on the trails, and a water fountain will be in there, which was not contemplated in the original. So both sides are very much in favor of this. As you'll see in the upcoming bill, the park board was very much in favor of it and voted on it unanimously. And that will be the land that they take over.
Perfect. Thank you for that explanation. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? If there's anything else, all those in favor? Motion carries unanimously, 8-0. Thank you. We'll now move on to new business. Could I please have the first reading of Bill 3557 by title only?
The first reading of Bill 3557 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri approving the First Amendment to the Brookside 10th Final Plat Development Agreement.
Thank you, sir. Staff report.
Thank you, sir. I would ask Mr. Cataract to make a staff report on this agenda item.
Thank you, sir. Much of what I was going to report on has already been stated by Mr. Fairborn all accurately. This really is a joint request from the developers, Rick Fry and Doug Park of the city, for this First Amendment. And as Mr. Fairborn mentioned, it was back in 2006 when this parkland dedication was actually done. It's just that the development never took off until more recently. And now with most of the homes there on Cedar Ridge Drive built up, it doesn't seem to be really best use of the land to put a little parking lot between two single-family homes at the end of the cul-de-sac and that have a practice field area, which many of us think of as more of a backyard area. It's not like the homes that back up to Rec Park or Memorial Park. This is really a small area, and it's kind of it'd be an awkward practice field area. So, as Mr. Fearborn indicated, jointly, we thought a better idea would be for the developer to extend Brookside Trail. Right now, it's just dead ends. Doesn't even connect anything. So, as part of this amendment, the developer will extend the trail south to where the parking lot would be and actually connect. It'd be a flush parking lot to the trail so somebody could park, have ADA access if they needed it to the trail, and then proceed north for now. As the Brookside South subdivision, if that comes to fruition, the trail would actually be extended all the way to Humock Hill Road. So as was indicated, what the city in exchanging the lot at the end of the cul-de-sac will get amenities. The trail extended, the bench, the drinking fountain, the bike repair station. So, and all this work will be done at the same time that Bristol Drive gets finished, which is anticipated to be done within the next month. So we think it's a benefit to our residents to have this exchange. And then it seems more natural then to have the lots on Cedar Ridge Drive to have the homes all the way around it like you typically would see in a cul-de-sac. So we feel it's a fair exchange. The Park Board unanimously supported the proposal and submitted to you this evening for your consideration. So that concludes staff report.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Any questions of staff? Mr. Townsend?
It's not a question, but more of a comment. My apologies to staff and Mr. Freelborn. I got a little trigger happy with my questions and balancing my mayor pro temp duties here this evening. So please, thank you for the explanation.
Apparently, I got trigger happy with my response, sir.
Mr. Burke?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This maybe isn't a question, maybe it's an idea. I was thinking about the drinking fountain, and sometimes they install drinking fountains that have a small fountain at the bottom so dogs can drink out of it. I don't know if that's would be a possibility, but there's not a lot of water at the end of that trail for dogs.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct, and that is the model that we have given the developer to purchase has that lower level, the lower drinking fountain for the pets.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have a question? If not, I'd entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Townsend?
I motion that we approve Bill 3557, First Amendment to the Brookside 10th Development Agreement.
I'll second the motion, sir.
Thank you. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the first reading of Bill 3557. Any further questions? Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 8-0. That concludes our formal agenda. We'll now move on to public comments. There is no public. Oh, Mr. Peterman, would you like to say something? You were hiding behind Mr. Cataract. You're good to go? Okay. So we'll go ahead and close the public comment section at this time, and I'll move on to the mayor-council communication. And I'll start with Mr. Circo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Nothing much tonight. A big thank you to Melissa Harmer. You did a great job on all these diagrams and these mailers. And I don't know if there's something we can do as council people to help promote this in the city. Probably nothing. I mean, okay, I don't know. I just ask. I mean, it's a great idea. I hope we get it passed, but I didn't know.
The mask doesn't actually dull your voice, you realize.
Yeah, I don't know that. I think we can promote it individually as elected officials. We just can't use the city's material to promote that issue. That would be furthering the cause for the expense of that. So you can talk about it all you want to, but yeah.
As an individual,
yeah.
As an individual, we can, but
You
nothing.
can share it. I know, right? Okay, Mr. Burke.
I have very little to say this evening, but I was glad to see all of us wearing masks. My first degree is in biology, and I just really think that we're going to have to live with this and go back to school and everything. So we want to do as much as we can to eventually see have my children see their grandparents again, because It's been a while. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Jacobson?
Nothing this evening, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Townsend?
I have nothing this evening, sir.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Berenson?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It was nice pulling in tonight and not having to wear a hard hat coming in the front door. The building looks very good. The contractor did a fine job. I thought the building would look a lot different without the tower, and it looks very natural without it. So they did a great job, and glad to see it back to normal. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Abdelgawad?
Nothing tonight, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Barber?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to commend Melissa on her efforts getting the information out on the no tax increase bond. That's actually my mailer that came today. And it just is very professionally done. The information is well put together, and I can even understand it. So I wanted to give her a thumbs up with that. I just wanted to Mr. Carteret, some good news, a little bad news. You know, it's good that, you know, we're building homes. I always like hearing your reports on that. We need to get some lots where we can build some more homes. A little concerned about the code enforcement. I don't know, you know, what needs to be done there. If that's just something we're going through with these times, maybe some people are a little afraid to get outside and do some things, and maybe some depression, some things like that. So hopefully, as we move forward through this, that's not the norm. It's just something that's kind of a phase we're going through. So again, thanks for a mostly good report. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ullman?
I don't have anything this evening, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Well, the only thing I have is, since it was a work session last week, Chief, I wanted to congratulate you again on a great report. I thought that really did inform our community as to the efforts of this city and our police department. And I was really proud of you, the way you stood up for the good and the bad that we have to enforce. And it was just a great report. I actually think it did put a lot of people's minds at ease at how complete our training program is and our monitoring programs that we have in place. So thank you again for that. You did a great job. And I hope that we can continue to go with a favorable conversations such as were started that evening and a few nights prior to that. So I'm hoping that all that continues to go well. And I thank you for your effort. Thank you. And that's all I have. Is there a motion to adjourn?
That's right, I have to do that too. I motion that we adjourn the council regular meeting for July 13th.
I'll second the motion, sir.
Thank you. Motion's been made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor? It's unanimous. We're adjourned.